So let me show you the hi-hats. I'll show you what we built and how we laid it out and why you might want to consider using these in your productions. When you click on the icon in the back, it'll light up all green and you'll see that there's a bunch of different BPMs labeled below, from 60 to 160 beats per minute. So when you click on one of the BPMs, it folds down to show all the individual BPMs, because we recorded every single hi-hat pattern at every single tempo, so that no matter what tempo track you're working on, you'll get a loop that's performed at the tempo that you want to use it for, which I think is kind of the beauty of what we've done that no one else has kind of done in this kind of realm. So say you're working on a track at 94 beats per minute. It gives you 3 different feels to kind of start from. Straight is just straight time. There's no swing. It's still a human performance, so there's some variation against the grid. Slinky is kind of that in the cracks feel. The 8th notes are kind of that kind of Dilla thing, where the 16th notes are kind of that James Gadsden, Bill Withers, use me kind of Slinky feel, whereas the swung is just straight shuffles, both 8th note and 16th note shuffles. So say you're working on a track and you kind of want to get something slinky going on, you would click on Slinky. We're at 94 beats per minute, and you'll see a whole bunch of patterns here. And at first they're laid out by subdivision. So you have all the 16th note patterns right off the top, and then you'll see a bunch of 8th note patterns, and in the straight feel there's also quarter note patterns, but you can't really swing a quarter note. I guess that could be debated, but the quarter notes are in the straight section. I didn't like record a couple accents and then just shift them around editing to make all these different loops. Maybe I should have done that. It would have saved a lot of time, but every single loop is a completely different recorded performance. So how we have it laid out right now is the 16th note accents. If it says 3/4, that's going to be the 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So that slinky feel, it kind of gives that lilt to it. Here's another one with the accent on the 1, 2, and 4, which would be the 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Then these ones called hits are actually just groupings of 3. And then we get into all the open pattern accents, which are super fun. The soft one, which I use all the time. There's a bunch of other ones, obviously, as you can see. But then we get into 8th note patterns. So 8th note down accent would be the most popular. And then a bunch of open patterns as well. And so on and so forth. You can see there's a bunch of different patterns. So once you find a pattern that you think might fit the track that you're working on, you just click on it. And it breaks down into a bunch of different stereo microphone options and mono microphone options. We had 23 different microphones set up when we were recording these in a beautiful studio, and they were all recorded through NEVE and API gear, and everything has been left raw for the hi-hat section. There's no mixes of hi-hats. It's all just the raw microphone. So you're getting the highest fidelity, unprocessed version of the loop, and then you get to have fun on your end mixing it to taste. Some of my favorite mic options are the 4038s, the Cole ribbon microphones. They're nice and dark and rich. Or the C12s, which are nice and bright, super crispy. We had some vintage U87s. And then the mono microphone options, they definitely don't sound as pleasing to the ear as this kind of beautiful stereo spread, but they're super usable once you know how to mix them. it's really fun to download a couple different microphone options and then duplicating them and blending them together. It can be a little bit daunting at first because there's just so many options. But I find that if I just leave One-Up Loops open in my browser while I have Pro Tools open, you kind of know exactly what you're looking for, and you get really good at finding exactly what that thing is at the exact tempo, flying it into the session, and it's so much faster than kind of going to Splice or something like that. I use Splice all the time, I'm just saying, and looking for that exact pattern at that tempo. We didn't really want to create a loop library more than we wanted to create a production tool. When you're creating music, you know that you can find performances at the exact tempo that you're working in multiple different fields, and you can just fly them in and then get straight to creating. If you have any feedback about how you'd love to see things organized differently in the back end, please let me know. I know that it's kind of written in a language for musicians, with all the different subdivisions and whatnot. Maybe it would be cool if we created something where the most popular patterns were at the top, and then you can kind of go do a deep dive if you wanted to. But I'd love to hear your feedback because it's laid out in a little bit of a technical way. And I'm definitely open to different options for viewing and searching and filtering and things like that. So I'd love to hear what you have to say. You can send me an email or drop me a comment or anything like that. So yeah, thanks for checking it out.